ingredients that we need to make the dumpling. The first one is the dough. So the dough of the dumpling, it's really simple. It's just a mix of flour and water to a consistency where it's quite soft, but not too soft, so that when you're rolling out the dough and into dumpling skins, it doesn't break easily when you put the filling in. The next part is probably the main part, it's the filling. So you want to look at having some kind of star ingredient, which is the mince, the pork mince we have here, as well as we've got a bit of shrimp, which we're going to mince up and put in, and then finally some kind of vegetable to really balance out the meal. We've got cabbage here, we're going to mince that up as well and put it in. But really it depends on what you have. You know, if you've got spring onions, then maybe you can put that in with some pork instead. And then finally we've got this, which is ginger. It's really important as well. It just adds a bit more kick to your mince. You're going to mince that up as well. And then we move on to the condiments. We've got here some soy sauce, some liaojiu, or I guess culinary Chinese rice wine. We've got some pure sesame oil, or xiangyou. What this does is just makes your filling a bit more fragrant, as well as a bit of olive oil. We like to add this in just to help it mix together. And then you can also add a bit of salt if you feel like your mince isn't salty enough from your soy sauce. And then finally, one last important ingredient as well is your egg. And this egg is really important, at least I think, to put into the mince to help make sure that it all comes together as you're mixing it. So when you're mixing the filling, you want to pick one direction to mix it. So for example here, I've picked a clockwise direction because traditionally they say that mixing it in one direction helps to bring the filling together faster. So first, flour your board. Next, cut a strip of dough. And now you want to roll it into a really long strip. You can also pull it like this. Now you've got it into a nice long strip, you want to cut it into something we call jizi, which is like a really small part which you'll roll out into the dumpling skin later. So the way you cut it is actually quite technical, I suppose. You start with one part, about maybe 2 centimeters, an inch long, and then you cut it while rotating this piece of dough as you cut. And once you've got it, it will look like this, so sort of like, how would you even describe it? 2 triangles stuck together. And get a bit more flour and cover these jizi that you made and roll them around so that they don't stick together. Now, the reason you cut them while rotating them 90 degrees every time is so that they make opposites and you have to press them down. So stand them up like this and you press it with the palm of your hand. And what that will do is it will make it into a round shape, which helps you when you're trying to roll out the dumpling skin. Okay, so now that you've got them all into round little discs, you have to grab a rolling pin and you begin to roll it. So what you do is you hold one end of it, you stick it on the table and you roll to the center, then you turn it, and then you put it here and you roll it again. And you continue to turn as you roll so that this disc gradually flattens out more and more until you end up with something sort of like this. And that's a dumpling skin. And also note that generally we like to keep the middle sort of thicker so that it helps that when you're putting in your filling, it doesn't break that easily. Next, when you've rolled out your dumpling skins, you want to have a place to put the dumplings as you make them. So here we've got teas, or we call them tines, and you need to flour this surface as well, because once you've made your dumpling, you want to make sure it doesn't stick. So once you've done that, grab a dumpling skin and then grab a bit of the filling. You want to put just enough so that it fills the center but doesn't really fill the sides. The worst thing you want is having your dumpling filling spilling out the edge of your dumpling skin. Next, lift it up and close the middle. And what I like to do is to pleat from the ends. So first, make a crease here to fold up the very end, and you pleat gradually towards the center. Same with this end here. Pleat the end and pleat gradually towards the center. And what you should be left with is a dumpling. You can put it here. So now you've got all your dumplings, it's time to finally boil them. So here we've got a pot of really boiling water, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try drop about maybe 40 in. Once you've dropped them in, grab a ladle and you need to move these dumplings around so they don't stick. So go in from the side of the pot and then stir very gently. You want to go in from the side because this ladle is really sharp and these dumplings are really delicate. So if you go in from the middle, you risk cutting your dumplings in half. Next, just wait for it to come to a boil again. So now the dumplings have come to a boil again, and we need to do something which is called dianshui. And what that is you hit this boiling water with some cold water to cool the temperature back down. So I'm going to do that now with about half a bowl of water. And see, it's stopped boiling now, and the purpose of doing this is to make sure that the dumpling skins don't overcook, but also to give the filling inside more time to cook through. So you need to repeat this process again, so let it boil and then dianshui once more. So it's boiling again, so I'm just going to hit it with the rest of the water. So now as you can see, it's come to the boil the third time. This means that the dumplings should be cooked through by now, so I'm going to take them out. So again, come in from the side so that you don't cut them in half, and ladle them out. So your dumplings are good now, and your really last step is just to make some kind of dipping sauce. Our family, we really like to have dumplings with this little concoction here. It's a combination of vinegar, mashed garlic, a bit of salt and some sesame oil. So I'm going to put a bit of this into my bowl. And then grab a few dumplings. And you're good to go. And just give it a taste. Pretty good.